Hi, I'm Lisa Leiter. In Chicago Business Today, the Political Week in Review. Each week I'll sit down with our columnist Greg Hines to talk about the race to succeed Richard Daley as mayor. We began this week by talking about Rahm Emanuel and his comments on the public schools and whether he would send his own children to them if he becomes mayor. So Greg, Rahm Emanuel this week talking about improving the public schools, yet he was dodging some questions about his own family. Is he going to be pressured into sending his kids to public schools? Do you think this is obviously an issue that comes up in a lot of campaigns?
Oh, I don't think anybody pressures Rahm Emanuel into doing anything, which is both his good side, good virtue, and bad side. But there's no question that as the front runner, in particular, people are going to kind of zone in on him now, and I think it's a fair question to ask whether somebody who says, I'm going to turn around Chicago public schools and make them fit for everybody, but I'm not going to send my kids there. It's a reasonable question to ask.
Sure, he's the front runner, which means he's also starting to attract some big money. He had a fundraiser this week. What's the message out of that fundraiser with Mayor Daley's inner circle?
Well, the message is that while Rahm doesn't want to directly criticize Mr. Daley, who, you say the wrong thing, he goes off and he makes a problem for you. At the same time, you want the support of all the money guys who've kept Mr. Daley in office for almost a quarter century. And there was an event, I believe it was Wednesday, at a restaurant downtown, and the whole financial inner circle showed up. Daley's son-in-law showed up.
Okay, Gary Chico running interesting campaign. What's the latest with him?
Gary is trying real hard to generate some of the attention away from Mr. Emanuel. He's trying to break into the top tier because in some ways the kind of voters he's going at are the same kind of voters that Mr. Emanuel is going after. Movers and shakers who want a strong presence who's there. But he's had some of his stumbles. There was some pretty detailed publicity during the week about how he's made a lot of money as a zoning lawyer, trading on his City Hall connections. One of his campaign allies, Joe Barrios, got in some trouble for hiring one of his kids and his sister in one of his first moves as assessor. Well, Mr. Barrios has been passing Mr. Chico's petitions. So, it's a small city. It all comes around. It all goes around.
Well, speaking of making money, you wrote about the tax returns this week in your blog. DeValle released his. Are we likely to see the rest?
I think he will probably see most of them, although when and under what circumstances is a little bit foggy. Mr. Emanuel said he released his right away. Mr. Chico said he released his right away. So I'll take them at their word. They know my phone number. Drop them off, guys. On the other hand, Mr. Meeks says he's going to disclose his only if he makes the runoff in April, not in the first round.
Mr. Meeks also having some meetings this week, getting his campaign going. What did we hear from him?
He has, after a very quiet period, mainly because I suspect he was busy down in Springfield for the veto session. He's a legislator. He's begun what he calls a 50-ward tour. This week's tour took him to the 44th ward, probably the center of the city's gay community, where he went into the restaurant run by Tom Tunney and tried to court some people and convince him he really wasn't too bad, even though he voted against the civil unions bill and so forth. I'd say he got a mixed response.
Okay. Well, we need to look ahead to next week when we're going to have the hearing regarding the challenges to Emanuel's candidacy. What's likely to happen there?
Well, it depends on who's selling the popcorn there, because I'm certainly going to bring mine. This is going to be the best show in town. Next week is indeed the main hearing at the Board of Elections level on Rahm Emanuel. He apparently is going to testify himself. You can bet that all kinds of TV reporters, cameras, and popcorn vendors will be there. It'll certainly be a great show, and when it's all over, we'll find out whether he's going to stay on the ballot or not.
Do you think it's a good idea that he's testifying?
I don't think it hurts. I think there's always an implication in any legal proceeding when you don't show up yourself. What are you hiding? What are you scared of?
Okay. All right, Greg. Well, thanks for joining us today.
My pleasure.
And that's this edition of Chicago Business Today. Be sure to check out Greg's blog at chicagobusiness.com. Thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. We'll see you back here on Monday.